Byron Sonne is a Canadian activist. He was trying to find weaknesses and points of vulnerability in the 2010 Toronto G20 Summit security systems when he was arrested on June 22, 2010, and questioned the following day.
It's June 23rd at 12:22 p.m. and I'm at 2101 Finch down in the DNA room, and I'm going to try to conduct an interview with Byron Sonne, born 1972, 08, 08. I'll come in, please. Yes, sir. Grab a seat on the red chair there. Okay. Byron, do you remember me?
A little bit.
A little bit?
I can't remember if you were in uniform or out of uniform.
No, I was not in uniform. My name's Tam Bowie. I'm a detective with the Toronto Police Service.
Okay.
I actually work in our organized crime unit. I spoke to you last night when you were at the interview room at 13 Division.
Okay.
And I advised you of all the charges that you were under arrest for. Remember, I went through a sheet of paper?
Yes.
And I listed off all the charges?
Yes.
And then we put you in contact with your lawyer?
Yes.
Okay. And you had an opportunity to speak to your lawyer?
Yes.
Okay. And we're here at 2100 Finch. The court set up for any arrests that are G20 related. And you've been arrested under some circumstances that we believe to be related to the G20.
Okay.
And I want to talk to you. I have to record it.
Understood. Is it running now? Or?
It is running now. Audio and video, and like I'm sure you've been told, everywhere you are in this building, you're under audio and video surveillance.
I
anyways.
just assume it anyways.
Okay. So Byron, you've talked to your lawyer. Have you talked to your wife?
No.
Okay. You know what charges you're under?
Yeah.
Okay. And you understand those charges?
I understand the words. What exactly the circumstances have brought them back first? A couple of them are just outright lies.
Okay.
You know.
Okay. So what is the truth here? And that's really what I want to talk to you about, because there are some fairly serious circumstances at play here that could impact your girlfriend or wife, your common law. It certainly impacted you, and I think we need to talk about that. So what do you understand about what you've been arrested for?
After reading that list, it makes you guys make me look like I'm some kind of terrorist or something. I don't even know what this weapon's dangerous. That's a very odd sounding thing. You know, I mean, first of all, like all the pictures I've taken, I was on, public property. I wasn't, I thought I was doing it for lawful purposes, just to take these things. I mean, the potato cannon, from what I've looked at, regulations and stuff like that, doesn't qualify as a firearm. And, I don't know, is that the weapon's dangerous?
It would be. That would be from the weapon's dangerous charge.
So I don't see how that would stick. And then these three things about like ANFO or what was the other one? Some acetone peroxide or something like that. It's just like you're saying I was in possession of that. Absolutely not. I was in possession of none of those things. None of those. I mean, that's like saying if you go down to Canadian Tire, why don't you arrest them because they have all the ingredients to do something there? I mean, it seems like you guys are sort of trumping this up to try and nail me to the wall. I mean, you're probably quite successful at it, and I don't see how, that there would be, it's just, you know what I mean? It's just, you've put me in a position where it's just ridiculous that I can't fully comprehend what's going on with this. I have no intentions of ever hurting anybody or doing anything. I mean, yeah, I guess I pissed off some police officers taking photos and, you know, like logging some cameras and stuff. But what rest of this weapons stuff? I don't even know what mischief is. I don't see how it is interfering with anybody's lawful use or enjoyment of property, you know? I mean, like, you're assuming that people, you know, like, are taking pictures or doing nasty things, but, you know, when something like this, a once-in-a-lifetime thing, comes to Toronto, I think it's only fair that you expect people to take these photos and have these records and stuff like that. I mean, I think that's entirely lawful. There was no unlawful intent with any of these, you know?
Oh, fuck! Oh!
I heard you.
No, it didn't. I
Sorry.
heard you a lot.
Well, tell me a little bit about your Flickr page that you have posted. And maybe if we talk about that, you'll understand why we have some concerns.
Oh, I understand. I mean, like, there were two detectives from the intelligence unit that made quite clear, you know, exactly why, you know, and they say no matter how lawful all of these things might be individually, put it together and it looks like something nasty. So they drilled that into me again and again and again. So, you know, I don't think that, you know, I can't see what new would be brought to that part of the conversation.
Okay.
You know?
Well, I'll give you an example, and maybe that'll clarify things for you a little bit on what my example for that is. You posted on Flickr the creation of some form of a projectile launcher.
No? Oh, I mean that, I posted that, what, a year ago? A couple of years ago, from when I had the potato cannon and I was repairing? Oh, when I had taken the thing apart for maintenance for some friends. You know, this was way before the G20 as far as I understand it.
Okay, Byron. So, here's some photos that we took off your Flickr page.
Sure.
Okay, do you recognize these photos?
Yeah.
Okay, this is, and you're going to get a copy of this. This is actually part of the synopsis that we're going to give to the judge upstairs and give to your lawyer.
Yeah.
This is going to be disclosed to you. There's nothing secret. I have nothing to hide here from you.
No, no.
And there are some additional photographs here. The indication was uploaded on March 1st, 2010. So that's quite recently.
Yeah, but that's
Flickr.
how long ago? You know, I mean, like, this wasn't anything to do with G20 at all.
Okay, so what is that? What is this photo here?
That's a picture of a pipe and a valve that you charge with air, and you know, I use it up to cutters to fling potatoes into the forest.
Okay. Along with the photographs of this device, you also had a photograph of this. It looks like a kind of semi-ruined projectile. Is that right?
No, it's not.
Is that not?
No.
Okay. What about this photo right here? A candle.
No, that's not a candle. That's actually what that should look like before and after, having done, you know, like some repairs on some stuff. So that's just two pieces of a stuff. They're not candles at all. Small pieces of plastic about that big.
Okay. That were launched from this projectile device?
No.
Okay.
Not even related at all.
Okay. What about, on the website we found some photographs of some particle board, a small one and a large one, with some notations in handwriting. Do you recognize that?
Yeah, I mean, look when that was uploaded to, but do you know how long ago those pictures were taken? These ones were actually taken about 3 or 4 years ago.
Okay, but you did upload them March 24th, is that right?
It's quite possible, because I wanted to share them with some friends.
And is this particle board that has been, projectile been fired through it?
An onion, to be specific.
An onion, really?
Yes.
An onion did a hole like that in the particle board? Okay, is that your writing at the top? You describe what it was?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm gonna frame them and put them on my wall.
So, I mean, that certainly causes some concern with a Flickr page that you've established for kind of G20 communication, is that correct?
No. It's my Flickr page. I put up photos that I've taken that I thought were interesting.
Am I mistaken that there's not a lot of G20 correspondence going on the website, on the Flickr page? Am I incorrect in assuming that?
I don't have comments turned on. I don't even really know who comes to visit it.
But
That's not the intent of it. It was just for me to catalog my pictures. I mean, it'd be like having a photo album at home.
So can't you see the concern that you have photographs of police officers, the American Embassy, around Queen's Park?
Clearly, but I don't think that
and
any of these are actually illegal in and of themselves.
No, they're not. But then they're followed up by photos of some kind of projectile launcher, and then photos that you've admitted are kind of your keepsakes of damage that it could cause to something like a piece of wood. Can you understand where the concern might
Of
come
course
from?
I can understand these things.
But you're saying that wasn't your intent to
That's
cause that
definitely
fear.
no. I only ever had lawful intent with these things. I had no intent to cause fear. I didn't want to, you know, it was just, I can't take photos of stuff in my own town, my own property, and put it up in a page, and then all of a sudden somebody starts coming up with a dialogue, I'm not sure quite the word, a story that doesn't exist. because it satisfies some kind of political purpose, because there's a bunch of, like important people in town. There's such a thing as coincidence.
Would you not say that you can understand
Of
why
course
there
I
is
can
some
understand,
concern?
sir.
And if you say that it wasn't for an unlawful purpose, what was the purpose for creating this projectile launcher?
I didn't
Demonstrating
create
how
the projectile
powerful-
launcher. I had purchased that online.
Demonstrating how powerful it could be, and then posting them along with photos of the G20 preparations, the American Embassy, our provincial legislature. What was your intent then?
My intent was to have a record of my personal objects and items and things that I wanted to do.
So this photograph was taken inside of your home
Yes.
last night.
Yes.
And it shows an ABS tube that is very similar in construction to this device.
That's exactly what it is for.
So-
Because these things have a habit, when you're up at the cottage firing potatoes, they're not so well made, they tend to break. You can't really carry them around too easily. You can't do much with them. So that was, when I had ordered one from the original maker, I had fixed it, but then I had a bunch of stuff left over that I then purchased.
Sorry, excuse me. Not really.
Don't I have a right to see my pants?
You do? You got an opportunity to talk to your lawyer, right?
No.
So you did spoke to your lawyer last night on the phone?
Only on the phone. I thought
Okay.
you mean like in person or something.
And was your lawyer there this morning in court?
No.
Okay. Well, you're going to have an opportunity to see him at 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Okay.
Okay? Is that all right with you?
I don't really have a choice, do I?
Well, you do, but I want to ask you some questions. Now, I think this is a good dialogue. I think you're explaining some stuff to me. You're
But
not
how do I
really
know you're
reassuring
not?
me.
But how do I know that you're not just going to use this to build up a case against me and just, like stick me in detention or, in jail for a year or two? I mean, I'm not sure that I'm doing anything here that's helping me, other than, I know it's helping you.
Are you doing anything that's hindering yourself?
Well, if I don't say anything, I don't see how that would help or hinder anyways, because you guys seem pretty intent on causing me, some serious discomfort.
I wouldn't agree that discomfort's the word. We're trying to get to the bottom of what we believe to be a very serious situation.
Well, I don't know what I can say that'll help you get to the bottom of it. I thought I've said everything already. It seems reasonable.
On the Flickr page, you posted several photographs
Yes.
of fences. These are obviously the fences that have been erected for the G20 anticipated protests for the security that's at the summit.
Yeah.
Okay. And these photos were taken by you?
Yes.
Okay. And what are these?
Those are tree spikes. They're used for climbing trees for when you say go hunting or want to take pictures off the ground.
And was it your suggestion by putting them on the Flickr site that these could be used to manipulate the fence, to climb the fence?
No, that was not my intent. My intent was to merely say that the possibility exists that somebody could now use them to do that. I'm not sitting here trying to educate people on how to do silly things.
You took photographs of a lot of the video surveillance that's been installed around the city.
Yes, sir.
And was your running commentary to encourage people to cause damage to those video
No, my
surveillance?
running commentary is basically all about, look at how many cameras are in our city, and, let's make sure we know where these are, so when everything goes away, that these are taken back down, and this hasn't been used as a reason to bring cameras into our city, and then, leave them there.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay.
That's it.
A lot of photographs of camera fire.
Yeah, because you guys put up a lot of cameras, and we need to make sure that you take them back down when they're done, like you promised.
You also spoke quite a bit about a wave cannon.
No.
No?
It's more of it's a wave guide, and that was how old? I mean, February 19th, 2009, far in advance of the G20.
Okay. Explain this to me.
I'm an electronics engineering technologist by trade, and one of the things I work in is also computer security and wireless and stuff like that. So what I'm interested in doing was trying to find out how susceptible homemade gear and stuff was to basically jamming and stuff like that. So the best way to do that, you don't want to interfere with other people's stuff because that's not, lawful use of the airways, was to do it in my garage, with an old microwave oven, which is in approximately the same frequency range as these, like the network gear, and lo and behold, it had no effect.
It had no effect on what?
It had no effect on the network here in my house. I never dropped a connection. I never lost anything.
I watched a YouTube posting last night of an electronics countermeasure. Some people call them a wave cannon that was able to switch the time on a phone, on a cell phone. Did you post that?
No.
Have you ever conducted an experiment like that?
No.
Do you know what a electronics countermeasure device is?
You hear about them like being used in Iraq, like Warlock Red and Green and stuff on the tanks to prevent like IEDs and things like that.
Okay.
But there's, it'd be idiotic to use something like that in Toronto because, especially during the D20, because of the G20, because if somebody gets hurt or something like that, you're interfering. It's not just police or things, it's ambulances, public service, fire, that kind of thing.
But this device that you've posted online, that we found components of this
Yes.
in your house, right? We did find components of this,
Sure.
this same photo, the exact same device, in fact, that it is in effect a electronics countermeasure.
No, it's not because it didn't work.
Okay. But this is what it was being designed to do.
No, it was being designed to see if I could just basically fry my wireless at home. That's it.
But an electronics countermeasure is a similar device as a wave cannon.
Well, I'm not going to get into that. I mean, I don't know exactly how you guys define it by law, so I'd have to see like the legal ramifications behind agreeing to that.
So these devices here, they look like aluminum square posts.
Yeah, those are the raw antennas.
Explain that to me. What's the raw antenna?
Well, the way it works, microwaves, is that you don't necessarily transmit them along a single wire. You transmit them into a cavity that then causes them to emanate out the end. And depending on the length of it, as you can see, like 3 lambda, 3 wavelengths, that has a result on, say it's dispersal or whatnot. So I had purchased enough aluminum tubing, and I had it welded up and just there you go.
So the longer the device, the more concentrated the frequency is. Is that correct?
No, not necessarily.
Okay.
RF radiation stuff is almost like black magic. Even people that understand electronics don't really fully understand how a lot of this stuff works. There's some good theory behind it, but it's still the kind of thing that takes a lot of just roughing around with and then seeing how it works out.
Okay. But that was what this design was. Different lengths to create different wavelengths for, in effect, a different power on the device. Is that right?
No, just in case I tried or broken them, and then cut them down. So maybe, like, if it didn't work, perhaps, it'd be cut down or something like that. But, the intent was just to basically have spares.
What's the fan for that's attached to the device?
To keep it cool, because it gets kind of warm.
From the electromicrowaves that are
From those, as well as from the hydro, just the electricity running through it. I mean, microwave ovens have their own fan built in, but having taken the fan out, I needed that.
So this is a fairly recent upload to your site.
Yeah,
February
very old
24th.
pictures, though.
Old pictures?
Old pictures.
So you've had this device for a while?
Yes.
Okay. And have you tested recently?
No. I mean, the uploads might look, recent, but, you go into my Flickr, into my iPhoto, and you'll see exactly when they were taken.
This stuff here.
Yes.
Photograph of a scanner, a cell phone, and a digital camera.
Yes.
This was on you when you were arrested,
Yes.
is that right?
All lawful devices.
Okay. And you were wearing the scanner at the time of your arrest?
Well, I was wearing it, but it wasn't actively listening to it.
Okay. Do you actively monitor the police?
Not too much anymore. Sometimes it's just interesting to hear what goes on.
Did you not post on your Flickr page that you had noticed a decrease in regular police communication, and your belief was that there was increased encryption and covert police activities in the downtown?
Not covert, but I think that probably it would be point that there would be more encrypted stuff going on, because that's exactly the same stuff that's gone on. In the you read about and stuff in the papers. So clearly saying that like, folks, these things aren't going to do any good.
Firearms acquisition certificate?
Yes, sir.
Do you own any firearms?
No, I don't.
Legally or illegally?
No, I don't.
I did notice, though, in your house that
4 air rifles.
Yeah, photos of those here.
Yeah, fall under 500 feet per second, totally legal.
With the potato discharge mechanism, would it be under 500 feet per second?
Yes.
Even to create damage, here's the actual photographs from last night from the particle board.
Yep.
And you would say even an onion or a wax candle, that's this one here, the smaller one, that at a velocity to break those boards that your belief is that it's traveling at under 500 feet per second.
Yes.
So it cannot possibly be classified as a firearm. Is that correct?
I believe so. That's my belief.
So this is a photo of 4 rifles.
4 air guns, yes.
Air guns. Have they been modified at all?
No, they haven't.
Okay.
I mean, they've had, some replacements done of parts, but they haven't been modified to exceed any kind of regulations. I've been very careful and very strict about making sure of that.
And why do you own these?
Because I like shooting tin cans at the cottage.
But they're not at the cottage.
No, they're at home because I took them home to work on them over the winter so that they didn't get rusty and stuff. Again, that's all legal.
And I agree. And it seems to be that you put a lot of effort into maintaining devices that could be interpreted by other people as weapons.
How other people interpret things is not necessarily my responsibility, or, you know what I mean? That's how other people interpret it. I mean,
okay, and certainly you...
I mean, you've got a lot of circumstantial evidence, but,
Okay. Certainly you think that the police are interpreting it one way, because
Well-
we're very... You believe that we're very single-minded.
Yes.
Right. What do you think the general public would think about these devices?
I don't care to comment on that because I don't know what the general public would think. You're asking me to conjecture on something that I have no factual basis.
Kirsten?
Kirsten? She
Kirsten?
quite approves of that.
Peterson, is that her last name?
Kristen Peterson, yes.
Kristen Peterson. What, she approves of your maintenance and the well-keeping of your air rifles?
Absolutely. She was a co-signer on my my POL,
Which is...
the positioned acquisition license.
Okay. What about the launching devices? Does she approve of that?
Yeah, she thinks it's hilarious when we go and shoot cannons, potato cannons and stuff up at the cottage.
What about this wave gun that you've created? What does she think about that?
Probably doesn't want to stand in front of it, but she knows about it. Would probably prefer that I didn't go and sterilize myself in the process of experimenting. But,
Okay.
she's knowledgeable and, there's some approval there.
And what's this?
It's the Canadian Association of Rocketry.
So it's a membership to the Canadian Association of Rocketry, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I'm also a member of the North American Propulsion and Aerospace Society as well.
This is a very recent acquisition. I think we actually found a receipt from when you purchased a membership.
Mhm.
Could we have?
I don't know. That's
Okay.
quite likely.
When did you become a member here?
I don't know. I would have to see the receipts, but within the last, I sent it in a couple weeks ago, I would imagine, or maybe probably better part of a month ago.
Okay.
Just guessing.
Now, that interests me because we found a series of crystals in the house.
That's kitty litter, officer. Silica gel kitty litter.
Okay, but it has some kind of electronic device that seems to be powered.
It's a
That's
fan.
mounted inside.
It's a fan that blows air through these for drying things out.
More crystals that we found with some kind of like liquid bucket that's dispelling a gas. Is that right?
Yep.
Okay. What's this about?
That is a saltwater electrolysis cell that splits it down into a chemical component that I would use for when I get proper licensing to make my rocket engines. As somebody that's always had an interest in amateur rockets.
So this is a chemical compound that's set up to create fuel. Is that right?
You mix it with sugar, and then it's called candy rockets.
Why candy rockets?
Because it's made out of sugar, and it smells like burning. What do you call that stuff? You get it on a cone, eat it.
Candy floss.
Yeah, like cotton candy floss type thing, and it smells like that when it goes off.
But it does burn.
No, not by itself.
What causes it to burn?
You need a proper model rocket igniter.
So, proper rocket model igniter, could that be considered the same thing as a detonator?
No, I don't think so.
What if I was to tell you that we had experts in this field look through your workroom and they saw pieces of what they believed to be some kind of detonating device?
Well, I would say that I don't know exactly what they're talking about, and I can't comment until I see the photos of whatever it is.
Could it be that they saw elements that are the igniting system for the rocket fuel and interpreted that as a device, a detonating device?
I don't know what was going through their heads, sir. Having said that, it sounds like reasonable conjecture, but I can't say that.
More crystals under your bike?
Yeah, that's rock salt.
Rock salt? Okay. And this kind of laboratory setup with the 3 beakers and some kind of sieve.
I grow crystals to give to friends as gifts out of copper sulfate, which is a root remover you can purchase at Home Depot. Also entirely legal.
And this white powdered substance in the fridge?
That is almond flour that my wife has been keeping.
Okay.
That is Gatorade
What's Gatorade?
in the bladder. Like a stock. Or, sorry, not a stock, like a sports drink.
And why is it in that pliable bag with the tube coming off of it?
Because that tube threads into the bike backpacks. If you've ever seen the bikes downtown, some of your own officers probably carry them as well, camelbacks.
Okay. And we have some photos of some seeds.
Yeah, so we have squash seeds and we have corn seeds.
Okay.
I'm an amateur farmer.
The map that includes the Huntsville area.
Yes, where my wife's family's cottage is and not too far away from where my family's cottage is. And also areas where I go fishing.
And are there indications on that map of where the G8 event might be occurring?
No.
Can you understand some people's concern with finding certain elements and equipment in your home and also finding a map of Huntsville?
I can understand that people would take a series of innocuous and entirely legal things and conflate them into something.
We found a series of jars and chemicals under the cabinet.
All of them also legal.
And what are they?
Well, they're all quite labeled.
Can you explain them to me? I'm not a chemist and I'm not an engineer.
Okay. Well, metal oxides, roasted starch, stuff for degassing metal because I want to get into amateur foundry work and pouring. Baking soda, fireproofing material, urea, which is a fertilizer, ammonium nitrate, which is a fertilizer, which I intend to use in my garden. Let's see, what else is in there? Can't really see. I'd need a clearer shot.
Okay. So, I have a garden.
Yes.
I have a lawn.
Yes.
I employ fertilizer on the lawn on a regular basis.
Yes.
Big, hot Toronto
I'm not
summer.
fertilizing my lawns with this.
This is a very structured, organized shelf of chemicals that you have here. My understanding is that ammonium nitrate can be used in the construction of an incendiary device or an explosive device. Is that correct?
Yeah, but so can lighter fluid, so can your barbecue tank in your backyard, so can cooking oil in your house.
You're a chemist, or you're an engineer, and you definitely have a chemical background.
Not a licensed engineer.
Okay.
Yeah, but
Do you have elements here that could be combined to create an explosive device?
no, because I would not combine them into an explosive device.
But that wasn't exactly my question. I'm asking you, do the elements exist? When we take a laundry list of items out of your house, that if we combine them in a certain manner, could create an explosive device?
I think this interview might be over, officer.
It's a realistic question, though.
It is a realistic question,
And you
sir,
understand
but I'm
my
not,
concerns.
Yes, but you're going to get me on tape admitting to something that I don't think. So I'd
Okay.
like to be clearly state that I am discontinuing this conversation.
Is that a chemical battery, like a liquid battery?
Essentially, yes.
How does that work?
Well, you put electricity into it and it splits those into two components and then, like when it's done, you can get electricity back out of it, or you can harvest the material to make it into, fuel for a rocket.
So essentially, it's a liquid electronic battery, but it's also something that can create rocket fuel.
Yes.
For your rocketry habit.
Yes.
And the crystals in this bucket here,
Yep.
kitty litter as well?
Kitty litter.
Okay. And what about the crystals in the bucket next to this liquid battery?
The crystals on the bottom there are calcium chloride, which is also a dryer that's used. You can buy it at Home Depot and you put it in your toolboxes to keep your wrenches and stuff like that from getting rusty and stuff like that.
But there's no wrenches in the bucket, and there seems to be some kind of measuring gauge.
Yeah, for humidity, for drying it. That stuff is, one of the best things in the world for drying stuff out. You can sometimes even buy it at hobby shops for drying flowers.
And so, but what is your purpose for it?
Drying stuff.
But it seems very set up in this environment. You've got your liquid battery or your rocket fuel creator, and right next to it you have a drying component in a Rubbermaid bucket with some kind of gauge. So it must
Measure
have
humidity and temperature so that I know that the dryer is drying and when the drying is complete.
Okay. Could this be used to do anything else?
No, it's
Okay.
a humidity gauge.
So quite simply, these crystals are to use for drying.
Yes,
Do you dry in that bucket there?
yes,
And that's a better shot of the same thing, is that right?
yes.
And why is there two gauges?
One's for temperature, one's for humidity.
What would happen if it got too hot?
Nothing. It's just curious to see how long things take at different temperatures.
Is that a different shot of the liquid battery?
I would imagine so, yes.
Okay. And what are these like volt readers here? I'm not an electrician, so I don't quite understand this.
One measures current flow into the cell, and one measures voltage drop across the terminals, so I can tell how efficient it's running.
And what's the importance of having this scientific setup that you have run efficiently? Is there a drawback? Is there a benefit?
None. I'm just a geek that likes having statistics on all kinds of various different things. I mean, like, I like playing with electronics. You know, I like seeing what happens. It's part of an exercise to be able to stay in touch with how to just wire things and monitor things.
Again, that liquid battery.
Yes.
You have a photograph here of the controlled access
Yes.
on in there.
Which is coincidentally from the federal government website themselves provided, also legal.
Okay.
I hope you like the comic next to it.
What did you write?
No, it wasn't. It was just, oh, Dad, you sat on your colostomy bag again.
Oh. Near this, on this bulletin board, I believe, we found a series of like lanyards with passes on them.
Yes.
You have about 10 or 11 passes here.
Yes, sir. I've attended a number of conferences based on computer security, both here in Toronto as well as in Las Vegas, as well as Washington, D.C.
Okay, so on your Flickr page, you posted that you were looking to create a G20 pass for
No,
yourself.
I did not post I was looking to create. I just merely wanted to see what they looked like.
So
Strictly curiosity.
you have a series of various size tags, like identification tags that have been used at different venues, and you're asking if anyone has a copy that they can post for you of what the actual pass looks like.
Well, just a shitty picture, low res. I mean, not anything that you could run off and do something with.
But why?
Because it's interesting to see what those things look like. You know, I mean, like, you spend how many billions of dollars if it's just some, you know, little photocopied piece of crap or something like that, you know, it'd be like, you know, way to go, spend $1 billion, you know, $50 million on a fake lake or whatever it is, but just get a piece of photocopied paper.
So you weren't intending to try to create one, is that right?
God, no.
But can you see how maybe someone could draw that conclusion?
Of course I can, sir.
So you seem like an incredibly intelligent guy. You seem to be socially conscious. Why would you engage in risky behavior? And by that I mean going downtown, drawing attention, so photographing the security that's being set up for a very high-profile political event, engaging conversation on the internet about passes and what they look like to get into that very same event, and then have blank copies of passes or pre-used copies of passes that maybe a new pass could be made onto.
I don't think any of those would fit or even work.
But I don't know. I don't even know what the G20 pass looks
Neither do
like.
I.
So there's a variety of sizes. There's quite a possibility that you could, by getting a decent copy of one, create your own on this.
I think that would be a big jump in logic, but
Big jump in logic, but can you understand how I'm curious as to why those three separate events have come together right around the G20?
yes. And I can explain that all because I'm interested in, I mean, I'm a member of the Toronto Area Security Clash and, various other security-related things, that and I'm interested in just writing about these things, getting behind the scenes, coming up with some kind of like a good presentation. It would maybe make my name, it would be nice to be able to get, well, I've got a shit name now for security probably, but, but to be able to come up with like a good document, a presentation to put on at task afterwards about the G20. I mean, like, look at the cameras. Here they are. They went down. This is what happened. This is what didn't happen. These are some of the people. This is the kind of stuff you can hear when you hang around with activists. This is exactly how the whole thing was overblown. This is how a city can successfully manage these things,
So on one hand, you sound like you're a supporter of some of the mechanisms that have gone into the security establishment around G20, but on other times...
Well, I'm a fan of technology and the way things are done and implemented, and I like to see how that crosses over into the human realm, and how people handle and manage these things. You know, it's really fascinating stuff.
So would you say you support the G20 in Toronto?
I don't like how they've made my city into sort of a prison camp, but at the same time, it's a democratic establishment. The world economy is in a shitter. People are meeting. You know, it's a bad time, and we got to get our shit together, you know, for people to get jobs and stuff like that. So as much as it kind of, you know, I wish it was done a little more openly or something like that, I don't have anything against any of the leaders. I even voted for Harper, you know, and that loses me friends among a certain group of people, but...
Do you support the security establishment that's in Toronto, the police, the security effort that's been put in place?
I've always been respectful to officers, sir, you know, and it's, if anything, it's just been documenting it to look at it, you know, because it's interesting. It's interesting, that's all this is, it's just interesting.
Good photo. This interests me, your Canadian Association of Rocketry. It seems to me coincidental that as you are creating rocket fuel in various different forms, the liquid one, the crystal one, and the G20 is approaching, that you then also become a member of the Canadian Association of Rocketry.
Because I want to prove that I have no ill intent. You know, I want to prove that I'm above board, that I follow regulations. And that's why I've never assembled any of these things, any of these chemicals into a finished device. And that's what makes some of these charges so ridiculous, is that I don't actually possess anything that is a finished explosive that you guys keep on, like, accruing to me.
But you possess the precursors.
Yeah, but that's not illegal. Not in those quantities.
And you possess a device that could be used to detonate those.
You possess a kitchen knife, but you're not a murderer.
But you do possess the detonating device.
I say again, you know, I don't think actually I have any detonating devices.
But can you not see how that is cause for concern?
I can see
for
how
an
that is cause for
investigator like
concern.
myself?
I do, sir, but you have to understand a series of innocuous legal things. You're making a pie out of, you know, a Byron eat shit pie out of stuff that isn't entirely legal, you know, and you guys are asking me the same questions 15 different times, you know, 2 or 3 groups of people, you know, and I don't know how, you know, I mean, I've made sure I had my wife sign this, you know, couldn't get away with that because I wanted to be accurate. You'll be able, once you go through my computer and stuff, like you'll see the correspondence I have with somebody where I tell them I'm very clear about wanting to follow the rules, asking for advice, and finding out that what I'm doing I cannot proceed any further on without contravening, like, you know, Ministry of Natural Resources. And even if I did get the licensing for that, I still wouldn't be able to move it anywhere because I would need okay from Transport Canada. And you'll even see that I downloaded the forms from the government, you know, to have that detailed exactly what I need to have where. You know, I need a sort of land commercially zoned with certain set-aside space so that I can continue on these hobbies. You will see all of this come out, that I'm interested in just being a good citizen and following the rules for these hobbies that seem to attract people's attention when Obama comes to town.
What if I was to challenge you to say that, what if all of this was you creating an alibi for yourself in case you got caught?
I would say that's absolutely not the case.
Because that's what's happened. You have been caught. You've posted, you've drawn the attention of yourself to the police. We had grounds to put a warrant before a judge who signed it.
Okay.
We executed a warrant at your house.
Understood.
And we found these elements that, as I've said before, cause us some concern.
Yes.
And that are, frankly, illegal on their face.
No.
And is this all an alibi that you've crafted?
It is not, sir. It is me going out and proving that I want to follow the law with these things.
But can you see how setting yourself up in a premeditated manner might be providing yourself for an alibi? Murderers do it.
I can't help what other people think, sir. You're just doing your job, and I'm just trying to be a good citizen by following the rules, getting the proper certifications in the areas that I find interesting.
You had a piece of paper on your bulletin board. It referred to the arrest line.
Yeah.
Who is this number for you to call?
I think that is, I don't know, it's something I found online because I was reading about like people getting beaten down downtown just for taking pictures and stuff. And you know, I don't know how, they must have been being idiots about it, but I figured that it would be entirely appropriate for me to just ensure that in case a police officer was overzealous in the performance of his duties, that I had protection.
So were you intending on getting arrested at some point?
Hell no!
These are just some more photos again of the propellant or the projectile launcher and some of your equipment and tools. More these various paths that you have. But this I'm curious about. I don't. What are these items here?
Those are camp stove fuel canisters. That's
Which is what?
Butane, propane mix. I can't exactly remember. So
I've
it
been
works
told-
at all altitudes.
I've been told that the chemical compound from this can be used as part of assembling a bomb.
Well, you can take the gasoline out of your car and assemble that into a bomb. You can't say somebody that has camp stove fuel.
Fair enough, but with the other chemical
All legal.
elements, for sure it is.
Everything in here, in fact, legal.
But with all of the chemical compounds that you had combined in the right concoction, could this not be part of creating an explosive device?
I'm not going to admit to that because I know you're setting me up to try and get me to say something. They'll say, look, he knows he could have made a bomb. And I'm not intending on saying that.
You know what, maybe I'm looking to have you say that your curiosity got the better of you.
Why?
And then you did begin to collect the components to create a bomb out of curiosity. And that you had no intent to use it, but the elements were there. And that maybe you feel sorry for it, maybe you feel some guilt about it. But your explanation to me, it doesn't seem to wash. And you're a smart guy, I'm looking for you to be a bit convincing.
First of all, I have no interest in assembling anything kind of a bomb in my house and risking my wife's life, and much that in my neighborhood. You know, I live in a Jewish neighborhood, and you know, these are people that are probably, you know, some people are probably a little iffy about things, you know, given what they've gone through in the past. So I have no interest in doing anything that would jeopardize these people or their lives.
I'm not
I have no intent of ever combining any of these things.
So it was explained to me, and this is again going to be provided to you upstairs. But it said that there was ingredients to make triacetone triperoxide, including acetone hydroperoxide, sulfuric acid. Do you have those elements in your home?
Yeah, but all of those also have their own use. I mean, like hydrochloric acid for cleaning concrete in the flagstone patio in the back, sulfuric acid for when our drain jams up again.
But combined, they could create an explosive device.
So could your car and a pack of matches.
HTMD, or the components to create HTMD, which is considered a homemade primary explosive that includes hexamine and sulfuric acid. So we found hexamine and sulfuric acid in your...
Yeah, camp stove fuel tablets that you can buy at Canadian Tire, also entirely legal.
But those combined together can produce, the acronym is HTMD, which is an explosive device.
If you say so.
Ammonium nitrate, which is the key ingredient in the production of ANFO.
Yeah, see, that is complete bullshit because there was no fuel oil mixed into that at all. I would never do that.
But you admitted you do have fuel oil in your residence.
No, I don't.
Isn't camp stove fuel oil?
No, that's a gas.
Couldn't gasoline from the car or gasoline that's in the garage in a jerry can be used as fuel oil?
I don't think so.
And you had no gasoline, diesel, any kind of fuel oil in the garage?
But there was gasoline for my chainsaw and my weed whacker.
Okay, so that is fuel oil.
That's gasoline, though. I don't think that qualifies as a fuel oil.
But could gasoline mixed with ammonium nitrate create an explosive device? Or an explosive?
Not to my knowledge.
And quite honestly, I don't know either.
I don't think it can.
So, we also found the electronic components and power sources, which could cause what they refer to as an explosive chain of events.
Okay.
So a detonator, like a homemade
An
detonator.
alarm clock?
I think they're more talking about the triggering device for your rocket.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
You mentioned earlier that you did have components for the triggering device for your rocket, but it was disassembled.
No, I don't have the triggering devices for my rocket.
Did I mishear you or understand you earlier?
I think you might have.
Okay, that's my mistake. Certainly, one of the things that we're the most worried about, and this is the topic that we keep coming back to, are the chemicals and are the components and ingredients that can create a bomb. And you're insisting to me that, yes, they're there. They're in the house.
Am I supposed to agree to that, or?
Well, this was your statement, that they were in the house. The components were in the house.
Not
the
bomb-
ingredients. The
but-
ingredients.
Ingredients, but not components for anything unlawful, sir.
Okay. And you understand that combining them in the right way could create an explosive device.
I suppose, but that would also be illegal and unlawful. And something I had no intention of doing.
So what keeps you innocent of anything nefarious is the fact that you did not put this together.
And that I had no lawful intent. Or so I had no unlawful intent to do anything. Crime takes two parts, mens rea, actus reus.
I agree.
One of them's missing.
There are a lot of people in my community, my work community, that would feel that besetting and watching the security setup around G20, surreptitious photographs that you took, and clearly some of the photographs you have.
They're not surreptitious. I walked out in plain sight and took these photos to basically ensure that I was not, like some kind of like prowling or stalking kind of thing.
You took a series of photographs of the American Embassy, and those clearly looked like they were taken at an angle as you walked by, or maybe even concealed partially under a bag or a jacket.
Right over my head, clear as day.
And that's why the angle was off?
Yes.
Okay. You must understand that it appears that there was some preparation going on in place leading up to the event.
I cannot be held responsible for how things appear, sir. I can only tell you what my intent was.
Oh, okay. So could that not be the physical act, the actus reus of putting this together, is the besetting and the watching of this event as it occurs, specifically the security components, the gating?
That would be up to a court of law to decide. I don't think either one of us can make that decision here.
You had, and I don't have a photo of it here, but a electronic hydraulic jack.
Yes.
That's powered off, or modified to be powered off a...
No, it comes like that. It wasn't modified.
It comes like that?
Yeah, for
so
cars.
It can be plugged into a car, and it can be operated off of an AC charge. Is that right?
Well, like DC from a car, sure. Yeah.
Okay. And then you also had a hand-drawn diagram of how that lift could be put under a fence to raise the fence.
No.
So what was that diagram?
That was a draw of if I ever was managed to get it approved, which I had to stop building because I heard back from the Rocketry Society that would be used to press the model rockets safely.
Press them?
Yes.
And what do you mean by press them?
To put them in a cardboard casing.
And they didn't like or approve of your drawings of how you intended to press the rockets?
No, they basically say that without certain amounts of licensing, that I couldn't even begin to do that. So the idea was just dumped, and I'm stuck with an $80 jack.
And do you understand why they don't want you compressing your own explosive charge?
It's not an explosive, but...
Well, compressing your own fuel into a compressed device. Can you understand why the Rocketry Society perhaps doesn't want you to do that?
Yes, sir, and that's why I stopped and have not even begun to do that.
But you understand that you had drawings about creating such a device.
Yeah, but...
And there are people who would believe that the creation of that device to press the fuel into a cardboard cylinder is like creating an explosive device.
Yeah, but it's not. And first of all, it's just a drawing. It's a doodle. And it had never even been built.
Drawn by yourself?
Yes.
So the actus reus, part of the mens rea of that offense, the planning, the pre-planning, the sketching, the assembling of the materials?
Yeah, but there's been nothing assembled. There's been nothing pressed. There's been no press built.
So if I was to give you an example of someone who beset and watched an individual, perhaps harbored a grudge against them.
I don't harbor a grudge against anybody.
Assembled the mechanisms of committing a murder, like a firearm or a sniper rifle, that if they were caught in the process before the murder occurred, that they could still be charged with the conspiracy to commit that murder? Can you not see the logic there?
There may be some logic there, but I don't think that would be applicable to this case.
You don't think the same logic applies here?
No.
Explain that to me.
No. I don't feel like it. Sorry.
I mean, I find that your words are much more interesting in your explanation because I've obviously jumped to some conclusions based on the reasonable grounds that I have to believe that this has occurred. And you're saying, no, that's not the case. So I'm saying, well, explain that to me.
I have no intent of doing anything that would ever hurt anybody. I've tried to follow the law, talking to the people, made sure, and the hobbies I've been interested in, made sure I've got all the licensing, followed the law. Again, nothing in any of these photos is illegal. Nothing in here is anything that you yourself couldn't go and buy. that just, let's say we were on the opposite side of the table and we had famous people in town, I could just be sitting here saying, well, you know, this looks bad.
If your launcher, firing the IKEA candle, hit a human being, do you not think that could cause grievous bodily harm or death?
I think a car hitting a human being could cause grievous harm
Byron,
or
I'm
death.
asking you about the device in your house.
Well, what do you want me to say? I mean, it's a projectile firing something, but the idea is that you never fire that at somebody. You have proper safety things. You have a line where nobody ever walks behind it.
But the logic there is like owning an illegal firearm and saying my intent was never to use it.
It's
I'm
not
asking
illegal,
you, do you think that your launcher has the ability to hurt somebody?
If it's misused and against the better principles of, you know, like safe operation, then I can see that there could cause, you know, could cause somebody some injury. But you would need to have malicious intent to do that, and I don't.
Everything else that we've observed, all the photos that we've looked at that you yourself have taken, the posts that you've put on Flickr, everything in your house, you had no malintent whatsoever.
No malintent whatsoever, sir.
I want to believe you, but I'm not entirely convinced.
I don't know what else I can do to convince you, sir.
And I think it's two things that really hold me back from being convinced. One is the seriousness and the amount of damage that launcher was obviously created to cause. Breaking particle board, this table's made of particle board. It's strong.
Yeah, but with a potato, it's hilarious that you can use a vegetable to do that.
But it can still be done, is my point.
Yeah, but the whole intent is to do something that's amusing and would never cause anybody any damage, or, you know, damage property, or even point it remotely in the direction of another human being.
But the possibility is still there, is what I'm saying.
The possibility is aliens could land, you know?
Or that owning an illegal firearm is fine if you never intend on shooting a human
I
being
don't
with
think
it.
that's an illegal firearm, sir.
The assembling and the collection of those chemicals, very specifically, very organized, in vials, not a bag of fertilizer like I have under my back porch.
Well, that's because it was taken from cold packs, because you can't buy ammonium nitrate in large quantities, you know. Like there's certain restrictions or something, but you can still buy it. Shoppers Drug Mart in cold packs.
I'm not familiar with that.
They're instant cold packs. They have like water and ammonium nitrate on one side, and you crush them together. You know, and then it gets, as the ammonium nitrate dissolves into the water, you know, it's an endothermic reaction, and things get cold. So you buy those bags, you cut it open, you know. If you look at my yard, you will see how I have various plots of corn laid out, and beans and plants. Each one of those is to be fertilized with a specific fertilizer to see the difference it makes, or yet another paper, or interesting, or just my own edification.
I have some concerns for Kirsten.
Yes?
If the property in your house is illegal, what responsibility does she have for that?
I don't know.
Is the responsibility yours, or is it in shared enjoyment, or did you purchase the stuff together?
I purchased it on my own free will.
But she was aware that you were creating these devices in your home.
No, I was not creating devices in my home.
She was aware that you were assembling this equipment and running experiments in your home.
Assembling what equipment?
The wave gun for the launcher, various like the liquid battery that you created.
Yeah, none of those are illegal.
I'm not saying that, Byron, but I'm saying that she was aware that you were doing that.
Yeah.
Did she ever express any concern to you why you were doing that?
She wanted me to be safe, but she trusts me implicitly, knowing that I would not do anything to harm another human being.
And how does she feel about these G20 events in Toronto?
I don't know. I don't think she cares one way or another. She's more on the right side of the spectrum when it comes to, having a father that's a business owner and stuff like that. So I don't think she cares much for protests or any of that.
What company is her father on?
He doesn't own it anymore. He's sold and retired.
What company did you previously own?
Digital Security Controls, alarm system manufacturer.
Did you work for him?
Yes, that's where I met them, or where I met her.
And so now that he sold the company, are you out of work?
No, I'm self-employed.
And how do you do? Is work busy these days?
No, with the downturn in the economy and people cutting things back, it's shit, to be honest. I've been working on trying to land 2 contracts, but One of them supposed to be with the TTC, but none of that seems to come back, or it'll probably take like 6 months to settle. So there's a lot of work that goes on to just trying to research and find people and get your name out there by writing papers and presentations about things that are interesting, such as things that are germane to our city, like the G20.
Did you apply for any of the G20 contracts?
No.
Did you even consider it?
I didn't even know they were offering them. I figured it was all going to be done by like Blackwater, or that it would have been all internal or something like that. I wish I would have liked to, you know, it would have been a good thing to do. But I couldn't find any website or anything anywhere that listed tenders for, you know, particular metropolitan stuff. I normally rely on most of my friends to bring stuff to me.
But you did look into it. Obviously, if you look on the websites, you couldn't find where they're doing.
Well, I searched in, you know, like, you know, is there anything for, you know, like, things like Monster and stuff like that, you know, and then different headhunting agencies and things. Because most of the time, you know, you don't really go direct to a company anymore. It's all done through headhunters.
Would you like me to read you the synopsis? It's going to be right upstairs in court. It's no secret.
Sure.
I'd like to read it to you.
Okay.
So it's titled A Synopsis for a Guilty Plea, and it identifies yourself as Byron Sonne, born 1972, 0808, from 58 Elderwood Drive in Toronto.
Yes.
Charges 1 through 6. Charge 1, intimidation of a justice system participant.
Are these going to be explained, like where and when and how this happened?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm going to explain the synopsis
Okay.
to you. Charge 2, intimidation of a justice system participant. Charge 3, attempt to commit mischief. Charge 4, mischief. Charge 5, possession of an explosive device. And Charge 6, possession of a weapons for a dangerous purpose. So the synopsis reads for charges 1 through 4 that as a result of advanced security measures taken towards the upcoming activities of the G8 meetings this June in Huntsville and the G20 meetings in Toronto, the RCMP, OPP, and Toronto Police Service, among other police services, have become involved in the investigation and intelligence gathering of various security threats. On Tuesday, June 15, 2010, 2 police constables from the Toronto Police Service, 52 Division, Constable Wong and Constable Coffin, were dispatched to attend a radio call in relation to a suspicious male videotaping the Metro Toronto Convention Centre in CN Tower.
Yes.
The officers investigated the suspicious male, who was being followed by CN Tower security staff, taping the Metro Toronto Convention Centre and the CN Tower. The officers were immediately told by the suspicious male that he would not identify himself unless he was under arrest under the Terrorism Act of the Criminal Code.
That's a misstatement.
Eventually, the male identified himself with a valid Ontario driver's license as Byron Leon Sonne, born August 8, 1972, of 58 Elderwood Drive, Toronto. Byron Sonne produced a piece of paper with arrest hotline and the number 416-273-6761 on it.
There are material inaccuracies in that, so you know.
With a section of the criminal code presumed by the officers to relate to terrorism. As a result of the suspicious behavior exhibited by Byron Leon Sonne, officers Wong and Coffin forwarded the information to the Toronto Police Service's intelligence service. As a result, a surveillance team was deployed to monitor the daily activities of Mr. Byron.
Yep.
During the course of the next 3 days, surveillance was conducted on the accused in relation to those activities. The accused was observed attending the Home Depot and purchasing plastic tubing. He was also observed attending other stores purchasing various materials which the officers deemed to be suspicious. The accused was observed to take photographs of secure areas surrounding the G20, including buildings in which delegates were staying, the CN Tower, and the Toronto Transit Authority, police officers and police security cameras. These photos were later posted on the accused Flickr webpage in conjunction with the Twitter webpage.
Okay. You realize we're redoing our lawn sprinkler system, so all of that is also any black tubing or things like that. So
Okay.
that's exactly what they're looking at.
You have photographs of Union Station, another photograph of Union Station,
Yeah.
view from the down street of Union Station, the view to Queen's Park,
Yeah.
the view around Queen's Park, view around Queen's Park again, the American Embassy rear, the American Embassy rear
Yeah.
number 2, American Embassy front door. That's the one taken on an angle that I mentioned.
Yeah.
Along with those photos, the accused posted photos of how to build a potato gun or a launching device by constructing it and indicated the damage it would cause. The accused demonstrated this by posting photos of a piece of plywood that the potato gun had been utilized to shoot a candle projectile out of. This caused the projectile to pass completely through the board. The purpose of this device was to be used to cause serious bodily harm, or in the worst case scenario, death to the public, the police, or delegates.
Well, that's a lie. That was not the purpose.
Okay. There's a photograph of some kind of cylindrical device. I don't even know what that is. 2 photographs of the launcher, a photograph of what? Of something that you say
Plastic washer.
plastic washer that looked like the previous plastic washer before.
Yeah, after being used.
By the projectile device?
No. Completely unrelated.
Okay. The 2 particle boards with holes in it. This caused a great deal of concern for officers as the accused increasingly made comments on his Twitter page on how to gain entry to secure areas by destroying fence lines, which were put in place around to protect the public, the police, and delegates from any violent actions that may be attempted.
I never made anything about destroying fence lines.
He
Why
also-
are you guys making this stuff up?
He also displayed a picture of steps that could be placed on the fences so they could be scaled, and advised on Twitter that he had them at his home. There is no other reason to attempt to destroy or breach these fence lines for any other reason than an unlawful purpose.
But my intent was to never actually breach them.
In detailing how to destroy or breach the fence lines and providing pictures and indicating that he himself had instruments at his home to do this, in doing this, the accused willfully obstructed and interfered with the police in the lawful use of their equipment and operation of property, thereby committing offensive mischief.
Yeah, but nothing was actually interfered with. Pictures.
Okay. The fences stacked by the American Embassy, some more photographs of the chain link fencing, some more photographs of tree steps. The accused detailed on several occasions on his Twitter page on how to avoid and destroy video surveillance cameras in the G20 area and posted pictures of them along with their locations on his Flickr page.
I never said anything about destroying. You guys are making that up again.
In doing this, the accused willfully obstructed and interfered with police in the lawful use of their equipment and operation of property, thereby committing the offense of mischief. Photograph of a portable security camera, more police camera photographs, again more police camera photographs.
There's a lot
more, and more. The accused depicted a wave cannon that he had in his possession and described how it would be used to disrupt police communications.
No, I
which
did
would
not. You guys are making stuff up.
of
Wow.
officers and first responders. Had these communication devices been disabled, it would have caused inherent safety concerns for the public, the police, and the delegates. In conjunction with this, the accused posted the address of the most important telecommunications hub in Canada. That's your photo. That's your quotation marks. We've not put this address in to protect the integrity of this location. I do know where it is, as do you. Do you know what this is referring to?
Which? Sorry.
The cable joint in the ground.
Yeah, that was taken down on King Street.
And why did you refer to that as the most important telecommunications hub?
That's not even related.
Okay.
You guys got that one wrong.
What is the most important telecommunications hub in Canada?
151 Front Street. Anybody that knows anything about IT knows that.
Why is that?
Because that's where the major backbone runs through for all the fiber.
Okay.
I have friends that work there.
Photographs of your microwave wave cannon.
Disassembled microwave, yes.
Okay. More photographs along with the aluminum bar and a selection of the aluminum bars and a schematic design.
Yeah, from inside the microwave by the manufacturer.
Okay. More photographs of this aluminum barrel of some type, the assembled system.
Yep.
The accused continually watched police officers in the performance of their duties and took pictures of these officers, displaying them on an open web page for everyone to identify and see. He described in detail on his Twitter page how people could protect themselves from the police while they were performing their lawful duties.
Byron was charged with possession of explosives and dangerous weapons, intimidating justice officials, and mischief. By the time the case got to trial, all counts were dropped, except the 4 counts of explosives possession and 1 of counseling mischief not committed. He remained behind bars for 11 months before finally being granted bail. On May 15, 2012, he was acquitted of all charges. His wife at the time, Kristen Peterson, was arrested 2 days after him and charged with weapons and explosives offenses. She was let out soon after, and charges against her were also dropped 7 months later.